it took me quite a while to work out who I am, what I wanted out of life, to basically feel comfortable in my skin. I went straight out of year 12, high school, straight into nursing. Nursing wasn't my first option. I didn't do well in high school at all. I don't think I'm a dumb person. I just never applied myself. And I think most people fall into that, basket of poor grades, of just not applying yourself to the schoolwork, to the assignments that you have in school. I was all over the place, man. Like, I would say I was an immature, high school kid. I guess a lot of kids are. But I just didn't have a direction. I went to school and teachers teaching you about the cell, about the membrane, about the mitochondria, about this chemical structure, that chemical structure, algebra, this, like, all this stuff was like, I don't know, man. Like, it just didn't mean anything to me. Like, why am I studying this? How am I going to live in the real world? I've had a lot of chats about education systems around the world, with my friends. What are the differences? What's the major education system that we're using? Like, I always felt if you took me by the hand in year 8 and you took me to see a hospital, an ICU, an emergency department, if you took me by the hand and took me to a power plant, a factory where they make cars, you showed me what an electrician does, you showed me what a plumber does, like this type of stuff, like real world experience. And then if you said to me, okay, if you really want to know how to make a car, how to build an engine, you need to understand what's happening with maths. It's the maths that's actually making these machines think. It's the biology, the chemistry that actually gets the doctor to have the understanding to help this patient who's dying of cancer or who's broken their leg. This is the surgery that they need. That's when I would have had that clicking sound in my mind. Okay, that's what I need. This is why I need to study this chemistry, biology, mathematics, physics. But I never had that opportunity. Like, I was that kid that always looked at Allen Iverson, not LeBron James at that time, but Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Tracy McGrady. Like, these are the guys that I looked up to, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I never saw what a doctor did. I would go as a patient, as a kid and all that, but no one showed me the ropes. And then I fall into this nursing thing because my grades were poorer. I wanted human movement. I wanted physiotherapy. Didn't have the grades, man. Physiotherapy was like freaking 95, 99 TER. This is a system that we use in Australia here, TER, tertiary entrance ranking or something like that. I think it's changed over again since I've left, but I got like a 59. You know what I mean? I got a 59 and I actually had lower than nursing required, but somehow I got in. I don't know why I got in, but they offered me a position, went in there, and then I actually did quite well in nursing school, especially the final year when I realized what I was doing, because in nursing, they send you out into placements every semester. Off you go to the ward, to this, to that, and you see real people being really sick, and then you see doctors and nurses doing everything they can to help them. And then I started kind of reverse engineering that. Okay, so we're giving this drug. Why are we giving this drug? Oh, I got to learn about biology and chemistry and pathophysiology and physiology and all these different things, anatomy. So I'm like a reverse thinker, show me the squat, show me Clarence Kennedy. Okay, so how do I get to that? Oh, you got to stretch your hip flexors. Oh, all right, start at square one. That's how I think. So if I started in nursing, and it took me quite a few years to actually get comfortable saying to somebody at a pub or a club, meeting a new girl, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a nurse. And then, initial reaction is like, what do you mean you're a nurse, man? You're a dude. Like, why are you a nurse, man? Like, are you gay? Like, what's, why are you talking to me? Like, you're trying to pick me up and here you are, a gay guy. These are the kind of thoughts I had. These are the kind of reactions I had. Like, it was very not popular to be a male nurse, man. Like 21-year-old guy saying I'm a nurse. It took me quite a while to actually say with confidence and pride, I'm a nurse. 24, 25, I started kind of getting ideas and motivation to study medicine. So I did a whole bunch of exams to get in there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but there's an exam called the GAMSAT to get into postgraduate medicine. So you're using your undergraduate degree as a baseline, and then you shorten that medical degree. Instead of 6 years, it ends up being 4 years. So I try to use the nursing, but you got to pass this GAMSAT. The GAMSAT is quite a difficult exam. You got to know your chemistry, biology, physics. You got to know how to write well, and there's a writing component to that exam, multiple choice questions here and there. Like it's like a 5-hour exam, man. Like it goes all day. So I'd said that a few times, passed it, got an interview, and then around that time I had like this epiphany moment where I was like, I don't really want to become a doctor. Like I don't want to live that lifestyle. You know, at the time, me and my wife were like, we want to start a family. Do I want to be starting a 4-year really hard degree and starting a family, having a kid at home? And this all kind of happened around 26, 25. I was kind of thinking about these things, and I basically worked out that the core of me wanting to be a doctor was so I can, you know, tell people, oh, I'm a doctor, rather than a nurse. Like it was that pride thing. And then I kind of had this like self-review process, and I realized that ego is driving this, man. It's not so much that I don't like being a nurse and I would love to be a doctor. It's just that pride, that ego, like I can do better than just a nurse. And so I kind of looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, no, man, like that is not something that's going to make me happy. I've worked with doctors, you know, with RMOs, registrars, consultants. I know exactly the path they have to take. It's a long freaking road, man. Lots of sacrifice, lots of time in the books, obviously. And ultimately, I kind of made the decision. I wanted to start a family with my wife and not go down that path and not be there for her because I'm too busy freaking sitting exams, studying. And at that time, you know, I was, you know, fully fledged into thinking about I'm onto something with this freaking weightlifting. And I really wanted to set these goals. I wanted to, you know, break these goals that I had, get to these ideas. And so I ultimately found happiness, but it took me a while to be comfortable in my skin. You know, they say women, you know, mature a lot quicker than men. And I don't know why that is. Is that a physical thing? Is that a mental thing? You know, somebody said to me that men continue to grow until they're like 25, like physically, like as in height. Women, I feel like, are mature way sooner. You know, they can basically get pregnant and look after a child very, very young. Whereas a man, to look after a family and have that maturity to go out and provide and protect the family and stay loyal to that woman and those kids, I feel like that takes a long, long time for a man, especially in this 21st century, man. Like I feel like my father was, you know, the same maturity I am right now at 20. You know, he had to go freaking and serve the military service, and you know they roughed you up over there. You know, there was proper hardship at that time. And then if you go back to my grandfather, man, he was probably mature like the same level I am now. He was at 16 doing that. Like life teaches you stuff. Like you don't have time to mess around and play and all this stuff that we have now. So sometimes, you know, I get, you know, younger fellas come up to me in the gym and ask for advice on, you know, what I should do and, you know, all these different ideas. And it's very, very different for somebody that's 60 years old right now to tell a kid that's 16 years old right now what to do, because the landscape has changed. Yes, a lot of the general ideas about life choices and maturity and all that, of course, I can day and night listen to somebody that's older than me talk about that. But now, you know, man, I'll tell you a story, man. Like this is in my mind quite a lot. My dad turned 60 a whole bunch of years ago, like 3-4 years ago. We went to dinner. And at this dinner, you know, my brother and my dad were sitting there at the end of the table. And we're kind of talking about things. And my grandfather came up in conversation. And, you know, my grandfather, man, he worked a hard life, man. He passed away in his 60s. He worked a, like, hard life. You know, basically started working in a steel factory at the age of, like, 16. Worked all his life, and then he started his own business kind of on when he got home, like at 5 or 6 o'clock, and he looked after all these pigs for the state. Basically, the state would give you pigs, you would kind of feed them, and after a year or so, they will come collect these larger pigs and give you a payment, basically. You're just kind of there nurturing them. So he was basically working day and night. You know, he would go to the steel factory to come home, look after these pigs and whatever, and worked hard. And here I was at the time, this is before YouTube, before any of this stuff. At the time, I was working 4 days a week, you know, and there's like a norm now in the healthcare industry, especially here in Adelaide, Australia, I assume. The majority of nurses work 4 days a week because it's a rotating roster, nights into days into night shifts. Like all these, you know, shifts basically are equivalent. If you're doing a 4-day rotating roster, including night shifts, it's equivalent to you basically working a 5-day 9 to 5 because, you know, the shift work. There's penalties there, so you kind of make the same as somebody does 9 to 5, that kind of thing. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about these stories that my dad's telling me about his dad, my grandfather. And I started feeling embarrassed. Here I am living in Australia in 2010s. I am a nurse. I'm not a steel factory worker. I'm not working in the field. I'm a nurse and I'm working 4 days a week. My life is meant. There's no threats of war. We're not post-World War II. Life is sweet, and I'm working 4 days a week, man. I started feeling embarrassed. I didn't say anything to either my dad or my brother or my wife, for that matter. Basically, the next day, I called up the nurse manager and I said, bump me up to 5 days a week. And for the following 12 months, I did 5 days a week. I was freaking busy, man. Like, literally, I didn't have time for anything else other than work. Did that for a year, and then I started feeling a little bit run down. I started feeling like I wasn't happy anymore, because I just found myself either I'm sleeping or working. That's literally, like, if you do 4 days, 4 night shifts in a row, that 5th and 6th day that you have off are basically sleep days. You're pretty much screwed. Like, you're just a zombie. And then you're back on days again, and it was hell. So then I started, thinking about what it is to live now compared to back then, and what we lose in this transition of going from the early 20th century to now the 21st century. I don't know, man. Like, it's almost like a different thing to be a man now. It's a different meaning. My grandfather worked his ass off. So did my dad. And now, when I talk to these youngsters, I'm like, man, you can make a living literally out of your phone. You can start a social media page. You can start investing. You can start a business on your phone, selling t-shirts. You can start all sorts of things. It does not have to involve the back. You can use your brain. You can use your imagination. You can use your creativity. You can become an entrepreneur even without having any education. So it's a different landscape. So now that I'm 33, I'm thinking about all the decisions that I made. Thinking about this YouTube thing, it came out of nowhere, man. It came out of a passion. I just wanted to record my videos, talk into the videos, so I look back in 3-4 years' time, I can see, hear what I look like when I live, what I was thinking at the time. And here I am, I'm kind of not making a living out of it, but it's like a bit of a supplement. It's like a little hobby that pays a little bit on the side. So now when I talk to these youngsters, I'm like, man, it took me quite a long time to find my feet. And it shouldn't have, but that's kind of the age we live in now. It took me a long time to find what I was comfortable being. What am I going to be comfortable in telling my son, this is what dad did? When I think about my grandfather, I'm proud of him, man. He worked his ass off. There's respect in that. When I think about my dad, respect what he did, man. Like, he left his whole country for me and my brother to set up a new life, new opportunities for us. If we didn't exist, he would have stayed there in a war-torn, post-Civil War country of Yugoslavia, now Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, and plus all the other countries that have fallen apart since. That's a proud picture. I always kind of felt like, am I going to be proud telling my kid, yeah, man, I did nursing, I worked in emergency for 10, 12 years. And now this YouTube thing, yeah, I started a YouTube channel. I loved squatting, I loved working out, and I started sharing my ideas and built a community with other like-minded individuals. I'm proud of that, man. I'm proud of these things. And I think that's the final thought that you should have when you're thinking about these things. Are you proud being a nurse? Hell yeah, I'm proud being a nurse. Hell yeah, man. I helped all these people. I learned so many life lessons. I changed as an individual because of nursing. I'm proud of the YouTube community. I feel like I help people help me. It's an exchange. It's a beautiful thing. I'm proud of these things. So if you're somebody who is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 30, 40, 50, doesn't really matter. The ultimate question is, are you proud of what you're doing? Because if the answer is no, I'm not proud, I feel like I'm cheating somebody out of something, I feel like I'm screwing somebody over in this way or that way, then you need to adjust and you need to kind of reposition your mindset and maybe consider making changes. It takes time. It honestly takes quite a while, but that's okay. Fellas and ladies, there's maybe 1 or 2 ladies on the channel, but 99.9% I think are all men. So I say fellas, for that reason. I'm changing the format of how I end these videos. I've had a bit of feedback from a few of you fellas. There's 3 tiers on Patreon. The first tier is anonymous. And I really wanted to make sure that you have an option to not be called out. I realized, and some feedback was that I don't particularly want to have my name read out or on the screen. So the first level is that. That's cool. I've had a whole bunch of people come on in the last week or so since me kind of changing the channel up a little bit and how I work. So I'm not going to mention your names. I want to thank you guys for it. Definitely. The level 2 guys are on the screen right now. I'm going to read them out. Thank each and one of you fellas for doing that. And then obviously there's the three guys who are on the level 3. Special thanks to them. But the new fellas that have come onto the channel last week are as follows. Captain Insano, Josu Guzman, Tim Weber, Mike Allard, Samuel, oh man, this thing's right exactly what I'm going to read it. Krug, I think that's what it is. Nathan Voelka, Tall Stalker, and Adrian Moser. Oh man, the bar for recording is right there. Is it Moser or Mosen? I think it's Moser. Adrian, I'm sorry if I messed this up for you, man. It's just the damn app that I use. I probably should look into getting a better, more professional app, but iMovies is what I use, and it's a bit clunky at the best of times. But I want to thank you guys for coming on and supporting me on the Patreon. It means the world, man. It really does. You guys on the screen and you guys that are not on the screen, you guys know who you are. Appreciate you guys. The community is growing. Discord is a beautiful place now. I love getting on there, seeing you guys' forms, squats, and your experiences. You know, it's a beautiful thing. Now I see faces, now I see forms when I think about some of you guys' names. So it's a really, really cool thing. Anyway, guys, longer video today. I just want to say I appreciate all of you guys. And if you're a young fella, if you're thinking about what you're going to do in life, just think about this. Are you proud of what you're doing? Catch you in the next one. Peace out.